Hello, how are you all today? We are here for a TOEFL writing class, and what we're going to look at in today's lesson is how to write your introduction paragraph and your conclusion paragraph. So these paragraphs are arguably the more difficult ones, purely because the introduction is the first thing that you write. And a lot of the time that can stump people. You don't know where to start. That's one problem with introductions. And another problem with introductions is people just spend far too much time writing them. And then, they're not aware that time's actually running away from them, and then lose time when writing the rest of the essay. And then they get to the conclusion and have either run out of time or get to the conclusion and say, well, I don't know how to finish my essay. I don't know how to end it. So I'm here to basically give you some tips, some really cool tips and strategies for you to use on test day when it comes to writing your introduction. So knowing exactly where to start and how to get straight into it, and also how to end your essay really well with a cool formula for your conclusion. All right, are we all ready to get into it? Okay, great. So you all know that your essay has either 4 or 5 paragraphs. 2 of them are your introduction and conclusion, and then your body paragraphs, you can either have 2 or 3. So we're just going to look at the introduction and conclusion today. All right. So this is the outline of the lesson. We're going to first understand what an introduction is, how to write one, and then you're going to have a chance to write one. Then we're going to move on to what a conclusion is. I'm going to give you the formula for how to write one and also give you a chance to write one. So this is a task-based lesson. So I'm going to be giving you the strategies and then giving you an example, and then you're going to be applying the strategies. So you can have a pen and paper ready to write down your practice introduction and practice conclusion. You can also type it into the chat so that I can read them and give you some feedback on them as well. But if you type them into the chat, you might also want to write it down so that you can have a copy of it. Okay, so let's take a look first at what an introduction is. So an introduction basically introduces your essay. It tells the reader what the essay is going to be about, and also tells the reader what you're going to argue. Now, when I say what you're going to argue, I say that because TOEFL essays are usually argumentative essays. An argumentative essay basically means that you're either asked what your opinion on a topic is, or you're given 2 points of view on a topic and asked which one do you agree with. So either way, you're giving an opinion. And whenever you give an opinion, you need to argue that opinion. And argue that opinion basically means state your case for why you have that opinion. So stating your case means this is my opinion, and these are the reasons why I think that. And that's what's called an argument. So an introduction begins with a general topic, so general background to the topic. And then the next sentence is more specific, specifically what about the topic. Then the introduction gives your opinion, and finally it says what the essay will do. So how do you write one? Well, you basically follow that formula. The first thing though that you need to do is look at the essay question, and you really need to understand it and interpret it. So let's take a look at this one. Some people enjoy taking risks and trying new things. Others are not adventurous. They are cautious and prefer to avoid danger. Which behavior do you think is better, and explain why? So where would you start when writing your first sentence of your essay, which is the first sentence of your introduction? Where would you start when you get that essay question? Well, you'd start with asking yourself, what is the general topic? So in general, in broader terms, what's the topic about? And then specifically, what about that topic? Then ask yourself what your opinion is and what the essay is going to do. So let's take a look at that. What's the general topic of this question? Some people enjoy taking risks and trying new things. Others are not adventurous. They are cautious and prefer to avoid danger. Now, the general topic isn't always explicitly stated. Sometimes it's implicit in the question, all right? And you have to interpret it. So the general topic here is, or about, risk-taking. Okay, and then specifically, what about risk-taking? So what is the topic specifically asking you? Well, it's saying that some people enjoy taking risks and others don't. Okay, that's specifically what about the topic. Then you need to ask yourself, what's your opinion? Because of course the question is always going to ask you in some form about your opinion. And in this case, it's worded like this: which behavior do you think is better? Well, I think being a risk taker is better. So I've already formulated my opinion, so I know which direction my essay is going to take. And of course, you always need to explain why. So you need to say what this essay will do. So this essay will explain why, in order to progress in life, one must be adventurous despite their fears. So you can see how I've really taken the essay question and I've pretty much created an introduction out of it. And here's my introduction. Taking risks is an unavoidable part of life. Some people thrive when presented with the opportunity to step out of their comfort zones, while others avoid this at all costs. In my opinion, there is no gain without risk. This essay will explain why, in order to progress in life, one must do what scares them most. Okay, let's break it down. My introduction began with a general topic. Taking risks is an unavoidable part of life. Okay, so I'm setting the tone for the essay. It's about risk-taking. Then I move into the specific topic. What about risk-taking? Well, some people thrive on risk, while others avoid it at all costs. Then I give my opinion. In my opinion, there is no gain without risk. And then I say what the essay will do. This essay will explain why, in order to progress in life, one must do what scares them most. So we always start with the general topic. We move on to the specific topic. We give our opinion and we say what the essay will do. So we start big or we start broad and we narrow it down specifically to all the way down to what the essay is going to do. And that last sentence really provides a map for the essay. And I get all of this from the essay question. So you really should be spending, a minute or two looking at the essay question, reading it carefully, and then asking yourself, what's the general topic? Is it about travel? Is it about education? Is it about parenting? Is it about risk-taking? Is it about technology, media? What's the general topic there? And then you'll start with a general sentence about the topic. And then ask yourself, okay, what about the topic? What's it telling me specifically? And then you paraphrase that in your second sentence. You always ask your opinion. So then you're going to give your opinion, and then you're going to say what the essay will do. This essay will explain, this essay will discuss, this essay will argue. Okay, so now that you know what an introduction is and the parts of it, it's your turn to write one. So here is your essay question. Some people like to travel with a companion. Others prefer to travel alone. Which do you prefer? Use specific reasons and examples to support your choice. So again, you need to ask yourself, I'm not going to give you the answers here. This is your chance to really practice this. Ask yourself, what's the question about? What's the general topic? What is the specific topic? Think about what your opinion is. So which one do you prefer? And then what will this essay do? So I'm going to give you 1 minute just to brainstorm the answers to those questions there. Okay, so taking a minute to read the question and brainstorm it, this is a really, really important step before you actually start writing the essay. That's where pretty much your ideas come from. And once you have those ideas, then you're able to put them into sentences that's going to form your introduction. So, what is the general topic of that essay question? Just type it into the chat. Great, Sophia, excellent. So the general topic is travel. And what's the specific topic? What about travel? So it's actually giving you two opinions there related to travel. Great, Johan. Traveling alone or traveling with company? The next thing you have to think about is what your preference is out of those two. Do you prefer traveling alone or do you prefer traveling with company? You need to decide before you start writing which view you're going to take. And then you need to think about why you're going to take that view. And you might want to think of two specific reasons, because those two specific reasons that you're going to mention in your introduction are actually going to form your body paragraphs. So body paragraph 1 is going to talk about the first reason why you prefer traveling alone or with company. And then paragraph 2 is going to talk about the second reason why you prefer traveling alone or with company. Okay, so general, specific, opinion, and then think of two reasons why you've chosen that opinion. All right, next step. Now that you've brainstormed your ideas, and you can't be wrong about your opinion. So, don't worry about that. Don't worry about which side you choose to take or what your opinion is. You're not actually judged on your opinion. What you are judged on is your ability to like I said before, build a case for that opinion, to support it. All right, so there's no right or wrong there. Some of you may prefer to travel alone. Some of you may prefer to travel with company. Okay, I'm going to now give you 3 minutes to write an introduction to that essay question. All right, and your time starts now. Okay, how are you all going with your introductions? Let me take a look. Okay, so I'm just going to read out Sophia's introduction. There are many different ways to travel. You can travel with your family, friends, as a couple, or alone. In my opinion, I prefer to travel with a companion. This essay will explain the reasons why I prefer to travel with a companion over traveling alone. Okay, well done. Really nice structure there. Anyone else brave enough to submit theirs? So what Sophia has done is she's introduced the general topic, given a bit of background about it, gone into the more specific topic, given her opinion, and said what the essay will do. So well done, A+ for that introduction. I'm going to show you mine now, and maybe you can compare that to your own. So let's take a look. All right, here goes. Travel is an enjoyable experience for many people. Some enjoy it more when they travel with a friend, but others find more pleasure in traveling alone. I personally prefer the latter, and this essay will explain how this gives more freedom and openness to new friendships. So here I've said, instead of repeating myself, instead of saying I prefer traveling alone, I wrote I personally prefer the latter. So the latter refers to the last idea, the previous idea, which is traveling alone. And then I said, and this essay will explain how this refers to traveling alone, gives more freedom. That's one idea that I'm going to talk about in the first body paragraph. And openness to new friendships. So that's the second idea, which I'm going to discuss in the second body paragraph. So you can either do that, you can either give like the specific ideas, the two ideas like I've done here, or you can do what Sophia did, which is just more generally say, this essay will explain why I prefer traveling alone. Okay, and then you give your reasons in the essay. So let's look at Angel. Angel has written in an introduction. Travel is a great way for knowing new people and new cultures. Nice general statement. It is cool to travel with a companion. I prefer to travel with a companion to enjoy someone else. When you have a partner to travel, you can share the expenses and save money. In any ways, travel is so important to have an idea about the world. All right, so this is another example of an introduction. The only feedback I would give on that one is when you give too much information or too many specific details into an introduction, you risk going off topic a little bit. So an introduction should be quite specific in its formula. You want to wait until you get into the body paragraphs to talk about, for example, sharing expenses and enjoying company. So these are good reasons, but these belong in the paragraphs rather than in the introduction. Okay, so now we've looked at an introduction. Hopefully you guys feel a clearer sense or clearer idea of the structure and what should go in it. You've written your first paragraph. We're going to skip the body and move straight to the last paragraph, which is the conclusion. And I don't know why, but a lot of people, myself included, when you first start writing essays, you've written the whole thing and then you get to the conclusion and go, how do I end my essay? And you kind of get stuck. When actually the conclusion is probably the easiest paragraph to write because you're not including any new information or ideas or examples or opinions in the conclusion. The conclusion basically summarizes everything that the essay has already said. It ties it all together. So let's take a look at that in detail. So what is the conclusion? It summarizes your essay. It says what the essay was about and it repeats your argument. So it states again what your opinion was. Summarizes your opinion, explains why you had that opinion, and ends with the general topic. Let's take a look at my example conclusion about the risk essay. This essay argued that to achieve success, we must face our fears of the unknown. It is my belief that unless we do this, we will miss out on achieving anything in life. We should look to role models who, rather than shy away from risk, embrace it. We face risk every day, so rather than fear it, we should take it as an opportunity for growth. Now you'll see my first sentence says this essay argued, past tense, because it's already been done. My opinion has already been stated in the essay, and the conclusion is just summarizing it. So let's take a look at how to structure a conclusion. You should refer back to your introduction and paraphrase your introduction from bottom up. Okay, so it's basically like a mirror of your introduction. So if the introduction started with the general topic, the conclusion will end with the general topic. If the introduction ended with this essay will discuss, explain, argue, the conclusion begins with this essay discussed, explained, argued. Okay, so just keeping that structure in mind, that the introduction and the conclusion are very closely related to one another. So if we look at my introduction, the last sentence was this essay will explain. My introduction starts with this essay argued that. And it's always going to be past tense, whereas in the introduction, it's in future. Will explain, will argue, will discuss. Then my conclusion gives my opinion, whereas which is the second sentence of the conclusion, whereas in the introduction, it was my second to last sentence. In my opinion, there is no gain without risk. I paraphrase that. In my belief that unless we do this, we will miss out on achieving anything in life. Then my specific statement from my introduction, I paraphrase that in my conclusion. We should look to role models who, rather than shy away from risk, embrace it. Okay, and that's basically a paraphrase of this, about stepping out of your comfort zone. And then my first sentence of my introduction, which was the general sentence about risk-taking, then becomes the last sentence of my conclusion, which I paraphrase. We face risk every day, so rather than fear it, we should take it as an opportunity for growth. So can you guys see how the conclusion is like an upside down mirror of the introduction? But I'm not repeating myself word for word, I'm paraphrasing or saying the same thing in a slightly different way. So it's your turn to write your conclusion now. So look at the introduction you wrote for the following question. Some people like to travel with a companion, other people prefer to travel alone. Which do you prefer? And take a look at your conclusion and then reverse engineer it. So paraphrase it from bottom up, and that's going to be your conclusion. So this essay argued, this essay discussed, this essay explained, your opinion, specific statement, and end with a general statement. Are you ready? So you've got 3 minutes to use your introduction to write your conclusion. Okay, before I show you my conclusion, I'll just take a look at yours. So let's see. Okay, good. So your conclusion, you want it to be 2 to 3 sentences long. Okay. So let's take a look at Dennis's. This essay discussed how traveling with a companion is more enjoyable. Good. So you're summarizing what the essay did. People can share the moments and also connote different things because usually people have different tastes. A companion always helps to have a good trip. Good. So the last sentence is more of a general ending. So you want to end generally rather than specifically, in contrast to the introduction, which ends specifically and begins generally. All right. I will show you mine now. Let's take a look. So you can compare my intro to my conclusion, which says, this essay argued how traveling alone allows you to be more independent and open to making new friends. Because I said in my introduction, I prefer the latter, and this essay will explain how this gives more freedom and openness to new friendships. So I've basically paraphrased that. Although some people will prefer to travel with a companion, I believe this experience will be more enjoyable alone. Okay, that's it. Let me take a look now and see if anyone else has shared theirs. Okay, good. Well done. Well done, Angel. Well done, Dennis. Well done, Sophia. Really nice introductions and conclusions there. So that's really the hardest part of the essay, because the introduction is where you look at the question, you break it down, and you ask yourself 4 questions. Can you remember what those questions are? Number 1, what's the general topic? Number 2, what's the specific topic? Number 3, what's my opinion? And number 4, what this essay is going to be about. What's it going to do? And if you like, you can think about 2 reasons to support your opinion and state them in that last sentence, remembering that those 2 reasons are going to relate specifically to your body paragraphs. And then your conclusion is basically an upside down mirror of your introduction. So you always have a clear sort of starting point for your essay and a clear ending point for your essay. It should save you a lot of time, and it also helps to keep your essay on track and make sure that you really address the topic and answer the question. Okay, if you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask about writing intros or conclusions. So the best thing that you can do is practice this, what we've talked about today and in this lesson, and the methods that we've looked at. Just practice this with lots of different essay topics. So on the E2 Language platform, we have quite a few practice tasks with sample essay topics, and quite a few assessment tasks as well. So put this into practice and really sort of get used to applying this, this strategy and this method. Because as I said, it will save you quite a lot of time in the exam. Okay, guys, pleasure as always. Practice, 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 and I'll see you back again on Thursday. Take care. Bye.